Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 1 Point Safety Show. We are delighted as ever to have yet another guest on. That's 3 weeks in a row now. We've been joined by my co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you, Scouse? You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. The usual shit. How about you?
Yeah, all right. Work's been really, really busy today. Someone got run over by a car in a car park. So,
Nice.
Mr. Health and Safety had to go out and sort that out. Luckily, she's okay, so no issues that way. But we're also delighted to be joined by massive Washington Commanders fan from Wales, Aled. Aled joined us on the first game of the season in Washington against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He eventually got there. I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you the story all about that. But yeah, how are you, Aled? Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, lads. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thoroughly enjoy the podcast every week, so glad to be making an appearance.
No, it's great just
Good
to get
you,
people's
man.
story, do you know what I mean, and understand what us British Commanders fans are like, Redskins fans, Washington football team fans, whatever you want to call yourself. We're all in that community together. We'll start us off then, I think, Scouse, as always, with a little bit of news that we've got going on at the moment. Ron Rivera was at Radio Row at the Super Bowl this week in the pre-Super Bowl chat that's been going on. I'm sure you've seen some of the interviews on social media, where he was asked, Michael Phillips, actually, of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, had a really good article. If you want to go back and look, I'll link that in our pod when we put it on. He was asked about the offensive coordinator. Ron mentioned, and he said that it's likely to have a decision next week for an offensive coordinator coming into the building. He also was asked about the Martin Mayhew interview that they did wrapping up the season when they were talking about being a run first team, running 2 for 1 instead of in passing. And he mentioned that was a bit of a miscommunication, or it was maybe didn't come across as well, and that actually they are looking to have a fast-paced offense and rely on play action. What's your thoughts on that, Scouse? What do you think of Ron's comments there then?
Well, I just think he needs to give us a clear message. I think this is the problem with Ron. For all the good things he does about the character building and the all things about the team, we're looking for culture and all that type of thing. He does give us mixed messages, man. He really does. Sometimes, like that one's just one example of it. Other days, if you say something, then all of a sudden you backtrack and say something else. Like the quarterback controversy a while back. Why was this guy the problem quarterback? Well, explain yourself, bro, because people start to go on fucking tangents. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem with this again. Okay. Well, technically, it wasn't him who said the 2-to-1 ratio. Really, it was Martin, wasn't it? But still, he's got to correct them there and then. Say, no, we don't want that. We want a little, a little bit more, maybe a 60-40 or whatever it is. Be a bit more kind of like, just tell us straight. You know what I mean? Don't try and blag us, and then 3 weeks later or a month later to tell us something completely different. We don't forget easily. Do you know what I mean? So, we just need to tell us straight.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I mean, you can look at it as well. The example you brought up when he was mentioning quarterback, it was only a few weeks before that, I think, when we were playing away in Chicago, that he flipped out at the media. I'm the effing guy who looked at the analytics. I'm the effing guy who made the trade. You can't have it both ways. And obviously the way the DC media, we all know how that works. We know what gets put out, what gets sensationalized, what goes on the internet. It's a really difficult one. I think Ron... we've spoke about it before. I think Ron's in a bit of a lame duck year. I think this may be, he's got 2 years on his contract, but I think this may be his last year. If obviously we make another step, he brings in a really good offensive coordinator and we have winning football, who knows what a new owner may do. But most likely, I think a new owner comes in and wants to clean house, to be honest. Right man for the right time. Not going to give it. I've got to give him his due. The culture did need changing. It wasn't damn good, as Bruce Allen said. We have to make sure that, he came in and did a job. I wouldn't still mind him being in and around the building if he wants to stay in and around the building, maybe pushing up stairs into a sort of...
To be fair, he's a California guy. So let's face it, he's not going to be sticking around here if he's not head coach or actual real GM, which, to be fair, he hasn't been shown good enough to be the true GM. It's... I mean, I'd say I love Ron. I've got loads of respect for Ron as a man. but some of his decisions or some of his messages he brings out to the media is just shite. You know what I mean? Like this, you can't believe it. You got to take it with a pinch of salt every time he says something, which isn't good, really. If that's your head coach giving you that type of message, and what's he like with the players? Is he the same, or is he actually completely different with us compared to them? We don't know because you don't know him well, but.
I agree completely with you there, Scouse. Any thoughts on that, Ali? Do you think Ron's still the right man for the job at the time where we are now?
Yeah, he came in to a difficult franchise. They wanted him to sort of put a bit of pride back into the team. A lot of the players have got his respect. And it's great to see things on social media. Years ago, you wouldn't have seen any of that. The relationship, how the head coach and the players talk to each other. But like what you said, Scott, maybe going upstairs and maybe sort of helping out the franchise in that way. But I think when Stan is gone and a new owner comes in and there's a clean slate, I think maybe Ron's job is done after that.
Yeah, I think it's then on to somebody else, isn't it? Someone else's problem, if you like, then. One thing I do totally agree with you there, and we've all said it, as Scouse just said as well, total respect for the guy. The locker room, leaks haven't happened. The shit that's gone on off the field is not at his door. It's clearly at one man's door, and we know whose door that's at. And we'll discuss him in a minute. And all the other stuff is just sensationalized rubbish, which you shouldn't really be paying attention to anyway. There's always media guys out there, and I'm not going to blame just the media guys, but beat reporters need to get clicks as well. You know what I mean? They need to get people reading newspapers. They need to get people looking at articles. Print media is completely dead.
Everybody knows who the real deal beat reporters are. I knew the ones who are just trying to cause some shit, So
yeah, I looked at there was something out from Brian Mitchell again today, and I just caught the end of it, and he was gobbing off again, saying, "Well, why? You had the guy at quarterback who's carried you for 2 years, and you couldn't wait to bench him. I mean, come on." We don't need this right now when we're moving into a brand new season, into a new off season. There's hope within the fan base. There's hope within the franchise. This for me right now in this off season. I know we haven't got a great amount to talk about, but we'll get there. But for me, this is the most hopeful I've been in a long, long time. I haven't, as we'll find out Alid's story in a minute, but I know you're the same. Scouse Burrows is exactly the same. We've never seen winning football. So, this season, we've got an opportunity here to do something and do something special. And I think that the fans are trying to buy into it now, and we'll go from there.
Well, some fans, I mean, as you know, Twitter's a cesspool, isn't it? Really?
Of course it is. Yeah, don't get tied up in Twitter. Just scroll on.
They're the extremes, aren't they? They're the extremes. It's either people who absolutely love the club and will fall on their own sword supporting the team, and then there's other people who just can't wait to bash it no matter what it is, even if it's totally unrealistic as well. Like you blame it on some guy, like you could blame it on Ron for something that Dan did, or you know what I mean, stuff like that. You're just trying to cause a bit of shit. That's what you get. You get the true polar opposites. Which is quite,
I completely agree with you there. Other bit of news that came up was obviously Dan Snyder and Tanya Snyder sold, or their house is up for sale for, I've put it as 50 million. It's 49 million. It's on the market for. So if you've got a spare bit of pocket change and you fancy living in a swanky home in DC, there's a guy who's selling quite a nice home. I have had a good look at the photos, to be fair, and it's not a bad pad. I'll give it its due. But that's, that for me cements the rumours that he's not going to most likely hang about at all, and it's going to be a full sale of the franchise. I do think that is exactly where we're heading. We've also seen media reports saying that the sale will take place a minimum of 3 weeks past the Super Bowl, if not past the owners meeting in March. So this may drag on a little bit longer than we think it is. I hope it doesn't drag on that long, because that obviously has knock-on effects with what free agents were signing, who's signing checks, who's, you know what I mean, who's paying Daron Payne, where the money's coming from signing bonuses, because an outgoing owner is not going to want to sign them signing bonuses and pay the checks out of his own back pocket, because that's how financially it works within the NFL. It doesn't come off the cap. It comes off all signing bonuses come out of the owner's pockets. So that's going to be quite an interesting, development. And I think Ron also is that's probably why he's talking to people and saying, look, Sam Howell is our guy. We've got to give him the respect he deserves and make him quarterback one moving forward. But it looks like it's going to be a bit of a cheap off season, this. And I don't think we're going to see massive changes in areas that we need, apart from maybe offensive line. And I think a lot of it will be done through the draft. You got any thoughts on any of that, Aled, at all?
Well, obviously, look at the season we just had. I know it was a bit of damp squib at the end, but maybe next season we could just edge over to a playoff, maybe, but we're not going to have, wholesale changes. We're not going to be sort of a massive winning record next season. But I hope it's not going to be a lame duck season. It's going to maybe have the excitement of the season we had up until the last couple of games.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. We're going 17-0. You know what I mean?
Have you seen our schedule? Have you seen our schedule?
I have seen our schedule.
We're taking on the creme de la creme quarterbacks.
I don't know
just
how
like the year before last.
Worse.
We're going to get smoked.
This is the strange thing, Scouse, and I look at this, and we're supposed to have a fourth place schedule. So you're supposed to have the low. Yeah, it's awful. Playing the Bills, we're playing Miami, we're playing Green. I think Green Bay again.
Name the top probably 8 quarterbacks in the league,
and we're playing
all of them. So, it's not great. It's not great.
No, it's not.
I think we got Pat Mahomes again as well. So it's the time to destroy us again, like he always does. This is the thing you see. It's like this year was the year for a schedule where we could go. You know what? We could actually make something happen. We could go deep. We could go far. We've got good players. We've got everything in the right place. Everywhere we should be going. We're on the upward trajectory. Great schedule. And you look at the schedule. Besides 2 games, it was home away, home away, home away, all the way through the full season. There's only one bit where we had 2 away games in once, and then 2 home games back to back. I mean, it was set up perfectly for us. Do you know what I mean? And what do? Go and shit the bed against the Giants twice, Cleveland, and then all of a sudden, when it doesn't matter, we decide to show up and give Dallas a hiding.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? It really is.
You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. Like, it's a mentality, man. It's mentality.
I can still see you're seething from that. You're still seething from that Browns game. You still are. It still hurts deep, that one, Scouse, doesn't it? I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't go back as far back as the Titans game,
yeah,
how painful it is to be a Washington fan. Right, what were we on the 2-yard line, and we thought we couldn't run the ball. Of course, you could run the ball. If you get stopped, you can spike it next. Do you know what I mean? No, Super Scott Turner decides to fuck it up again. You know what I mean? And eventually Carson gets picked on the third down, and that's the end of the game. I was like, well,
I think every time you mention his name now, I'm going to get a swear jar, and every time you mention his name, we're going to put a pound in it, and you're going to have to buy.
I'll be loads. No, you buying the rounds with it. You buy them. You can put the pound in.
All right, mate. We'll do that.
Even going back to the first game of the season that we went to against the Jags. I don't think we won it. I think the Jags lost it, didn't they?
2 drop passes. Yeah, 2 drop passes.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Yeah.
And this is easy, but we thought we had an explosive offense because we watched it. We were there first game thinking, happy days. Look at this offense. We're putting up 30 points. This is going to be great. We're going to smoke teams. Look at the team we've got. Look at Wentz throwing 50-yard bombs. That only lasted that one game, and then half a game against Detroit in the second half, when we're already getting smoked by 28. So yeah, it's fucking soul destroying sometimes, isn't it?
It is, and I mean, Mike was right in what he was saying last week. And shout out to Mike again for being on the pod with us last week. He was right in what he was saying last week. We won 8 games, we tied a game, and we lost 8, but we were close to getting easily 10 wins. And we've just mentioned it there. New York at a tie. New York at home blew that. A phantom PI call that was never there. You shouldn't be relying on that, but we had opportunities to win that. That was a game that we actually genuinely lost. And then you think to yourself, the Browns, there's another game. The Titans, there's 4 we can name straight off the top. Minnesota, 5 straight off the top of my head that I can think of that we should have won. So how many
games is that? If we won those games, where are we then? We're what, 13?
Yeah, we're winning.
We're 13 wins, mate.
Yeah, we beat Dallas. Do we win the division? You know what I mean? It's a different
Well,
story. Isn't it?
Eagles are still smoking everyone.
Yeah, but I think did they not finish? Were they 16-1? What were they? 16-1 or were they 14-3?
14-3.
Yeah, so
14-3. But
you
they down to us the last two games though, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he
you're
didn't
right.
have Hurts either. And he
That's
didn't
true.
have Hurts playing.
Garner Minshew, wasn't it?
Hurts has only lost one game this year.
Against us.
Who's that against? You know what I mean? Because we give everybody the perfect game plan to beat them, and nobody attempted it. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
Doesn't make sense. I thought the Giants would have had a good chance against them, and they just because they're built like us. You know what I mean? You know, we're running quarterback, good running backs, run the ball. You know what I mean? But they just didn't do it. They just got away from it too early, and that was a quick catch up. Then screwed.
Two other bits of news that we've got to talk about. One was Ron Rivera was awarded the Salute to Service award from the NFL as a whole. I think there was a few people were in for it, and he won that award. So congratulations to Coach Rivera for what he does towards the military and veteran community across the states. You know, it's really a good thing to see.
Yeah, it's a great award. You know, very respected award.
Absolutely,
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
but that goes back to how good the man is, isn't it? No, as the man, as a person. You know, he's elite. Do you know what I mean? Like he's such a good guy. But you know, does he put the same effort in for our team? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I love you playing devil's advocate there. And the last thing we've probably got to talk about is it's 5th-year option time for Chase Young, and the 5th-year option price tags came out to pick them up this year, and I think the price tag is nearly 18 million. It's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
But
what do you think, Alan?
That's what
it
I mean.
is a lot. It's a lot of money, and obviously he's had the injuries, and you think, is he going to come back from that totally? You know, I think the money could be spent better elsewhere. You know, football is all about opinions. I would probably look to trade him. Yeah, I think so.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because who do you rather pay here? Do you pay Sweat or do you pay Chase Young? Because they're both going to want to get paid at pretty much the same time. And that poses a real problem, doesn't it? Yeah. It really does.
And obviously Sweat played this season, Chase didn't. So if you just look at it as black and white like that, you've got to pay Sweat.
And we're still, Deron Payne's going to want 20.
The best ability is availability. End of the day, simple as that. You could have the best defensive line in the world. If they're not playing because they're injured all the time, then it's useless. Do you know what I mean? So I am, even though I love Chase Young, I mean, what a rookie season. You know, you're thinking, yeah, this is the number 2 pick. This is what we're on about. This is why we went for him rather than someone like Herbert. You know, this is it, legit. And then obviously he gets a really bad injury, and he's still taking his time to come back. That's the risk you're taking now, because, as you say, he could come back this year and be lights out. He could be 2020 version. He could be awesome, and we haven't picked up his 5th-year option, and he's going to walk because we thought, fuck you, you didn't actually want me. You didn't put your faith in me by picking up my 5th-year option. Same with Payne. Payne never got his 5th-year option either. See what I mean? Because we didn't take it up.
And now look at the situation we're in.
Now look at him. Yeah, look at him now. He's like, hey, well, you know, you know what I mean? Disrespected me. Either going to pay me over the top, or I'm leaving. Fuck yous. See what I mean? So it's a love and respect thing as well, which is very difficult because at those numbers, it's difficult to be love and respect. You know what I mean? So it's a difficult one. That
with Payne, did he make more of an effort then because of it? You know,
well, he did. Look at the best season of his career, didn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. So maybe Chase would do exactly the same.
Maybe. And I think that's what Ron said, didn't he? That's what Ron kind of said. Maybe it motivates him to be better or be available or whatever it is. But as you say, if he has an unbelievable season, he's going to want 22 mil, 24 mil per year. You know, it's going to be insane cash. And we won't be able to afford that next season.
Well, funnily enough, I had this conversation with Kyle on the Burgundy Zone 2 years ago, and we were talking about what's it going to be like when we get to this situation where we have to pay these first-round picks. You know, we secured John Allen early, which was a great move. and you think, right, okay, we've secured John Allen, perfect, foundation, cornerstone of that defense. But you were always going to have this problem when you're picking first-round picks at every spot around there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we've had guys come in who could replace Daron Payne. You know, what was the guy who suplexed? Ridgway. He came in, you know, was fantastic, did really well. And we've had situational edge rushers take over from Sweat and Chase while they've been out, the likes of your Smith Williams and your F.A. Obadas, you know what I mean, who have done quite well. Tuhill, you know, he's still a really good player. So I tend to agree with you. I don't think we do pick that fifth year option up. I think it's a lot of money, and I'd be very surprised if they do that. But, and it's a big but, Ron has said he doesn't expect us to go massive in free agency, and we could have probably potentially 50 million to play with. So the money's there if they want to do that and they want to secure him. But we'll see where it goes. So we'll move on then. We've had Alid on the pod already for quite a while, so thanks for being with us. We're just going to really take your story and find out really why you became a Redskins, Washington football team, Commanders fan, how it all started really, where it came from, and what you're all about. So how did you get going with it then, Alid?
Yeah, you've got to rewind to 1992. We were going to Euro Disney on a family holiday.
How old are you, Alid? How old are you? 41
I am.
Shit, I thought you were like late 20s. Yeah. I did not expect 92. I was like, oh,
I tell you what, I need your skincare routine. I tell you what.
It's the Welsh water, isn't it? It's the Welsh water.
Right, okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, so rewind to 1992. We were going to Euro Disney on a family holiday. My mother takes me to Matalan to buy some holiday T-shirts. So we walk through the door, and in front of me are these Flintstones inspired NFL T-shirts. And you had the Raiders, Dolphins, and Redskins. And automatically, I look at the burgundy and gold. That is my school colours. My primary school colours were burgundy and gold. So I'm drawn to that first and foremost. Then the logo, the best logo ever, you know, hands down. I'm like, that's the one I'm picking. Literally pick that up. Obviously wear it. And then obviously growing up, so anything American was just, wow, it's such a magical country growing up, you know, with so many, the movies, the cartoons, the games, you know. And I just sort of like fell in love with American, you know, things. So when you saw like the shoulder pads, the helmets, it was like, wow, this American football is amazing. So that's how I picked the team. And then going forward, you know, playing the Super Nintendo, Madden, you know, playing the Redskins on there, the PlayStation version. And, you know, we all know what it was like, the coverage back in the day. So it was, for me, on Teletext, CFAX, you know, waiting for the score to come up, waiting for our division, then pause. Oh, yeah, Redskins won tonight. And then the one game a season, the Sky used to play. I used to be so proud to watch that one game a season. Yeah. And then that was me in the 90s. And then I went to university in the early 2000s, and I was more interested in women and beer. Which is a big difference now because I'm teetotal now. But so I left that aspect, and then fast forward to 2012, I was like, I really want to get back into the NFL. You know, I've got my team, Redskins. I'm sure you'll be able to watch the games now. Google, what do I come across? NFL Game Pass. Bang, every single game. And what a season to get back into it, isn't it? You know,
that was where I pinned my colours to the mast.
Exactly.
I
didn't miss much before 2012, you know, in the early 2000s. So yeah, that's me basically. And then so for a good solid 10 years now, I've watched, you know, every game from afar, and yeah, really enjoyed you know, learning and growing as a fan.
And how did you find it? What's the hardest thing of kind of being a fan over here? You know, kind of in the UK as such. And obviously, you still live in Wales, don't you?
I'm in Wales. Yeah. The hardest for me is, you know, don't get me wrong. On a Sunday, you know, I love watching the game, but it's just on my own. You know, I think that I've been lucky enough. I went to Orlando, Florida in 2010 with my friend. We went out there. and I made sure that we went to a bar on a Sunday, and the bar's just amazing. All the different TVs, all the different groups of fans around, and I was just in amongst the Redskins guys, you know, and that was a great experience. I'm also lucky enough on honeymoon, went to California and watched a game in a bar there with me and my wife. So, you know, when you have those experiences and you come home and it's a Sunday evening, you're on your own, you're
Yeah,
like, you know. So the
Yeah,
hardest,
I know you're
hardest being a
saying.
fan is just watching it in my front room on my own. Yeah.
I'm there too. I'm there too, mate. We're
Same,
all there.
same.
We're all there. 5 o'clock on a Sunday. It's like, right, we've had a Sunday dinner. Shut up for the next hour. I'm going to start watching it. I'm getting prepared. And then
That's
it's,
it.
yeah. But the wife's now oddly took on the Jags for some bizarre reason. I think it's
Just to piss you off, that, mate. That's what that is.
She's bought a hat and everything, and it's just like, right, okay, great. So fair play to her. She sat through the Jags playoff game, and we sat and watched it together. So I thought, we're starting to get somewhere with this. But she was just like, I don't think I could sit in a stadium for this long. But what she doesn't know is I've probably got tickets for the Jags at Wembley. So I'll still sit in my Washington Commanders gear, but we'll probably end up there. What I was going to say then, Aled, was obviously You've gone through the 90s and you've gone through the early 2000s. Have you been to FedEx before, apart from the Jags game, or was that your first time?
That was my first game.
Unbelievable,
watching it brilliant experience, and brilliant to be with you guys as well. You know, it was a case of I always wanted to go and watch a game, and I earmarked it for my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
But I couldn't go because there were no flights, because we were, you know, it was the COVID back and forth. So that was that. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll go on my 50th, but Carpe Diem and all that. I thought, no, I can't wait. And then it was 2nd of the 2nd, 22 last year, when the name was released. I was like, what a good experience would it be to go to the first game as the Commanders, you know, just to be a part of it, to be one of, I don't know what it was, 60, 70,000 in the stadium, you know, to be one of those, you know, like a special moment. So it wasn't, I wasn't able to go. My wife, you know, I got young kids, they were going to school, so she gave me the blessing to go on my own. But then I hooked up with you guys. So
and what a time,
good, man.
Honestly, it was great. I mean, you eventually got here, obviously, but
you had a bad time, didn't you? You had a bad time getting there.
Oh yeah. Planes and
you missed it. You missed the tour and everything, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and so I went to see the game in London against the Bengals. So I did see them as the Redskins. That was great. And the year before was my first NFL game. It was the Jags, maybe Dolphins or Saints, I can't think now, 2015. But when I mentioned 2013, I was on honeymoon, just to quickly go off on a tangent. I started off in California, San Francisco. And it was the last season in Candlestick Park.
Wow.
I know it was my honeymoon, but I did, you know, half in my head, the little devil on my shoulder, go to the game. And the good devil was going, no, you're on your honeymoon. And I was like, no, I wanted my first game to be the Redskins. And fast forward 2 years, I did, and I couldn't wait, and I went to see the Jags. But that would have been cool, going to like a historic ground like Candlestick Park, you know, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd have been awesome.
Nice, man.
So have you got a favourite all-time game then that you want to go back to, or you think, do you know what, if I could ever watch that game again, I'd watch it all the time?
Yeah, I think for me, that first season that I was watching the games regularly, 2012, you know, RG3, you think, oh, wow, this is it. And, you know, the one play that season sticks out is his 76-yard run against the Vikings.
That Vikings play,
yeah. And it's just like, wow, you know, you can just watch that. And I sometimes just, you know, Google plays like that just to watch it, you know. A lot of games that season. Randomly as well, I'm not a big better, but I put £50 on the Redskins getting to the playoffs. And they had to win the last 7 or 8 in the row, didn't they, to get
That's
there?
Right, yeah.
On the trot, they couldn't lose one. So but
how much you get for that
game in that 2012? Yeah.
How much better? The odds were good then to win like 7 straight to get in.
So I placed a bet £50 at the start of the season.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I was locked in on my odds, and I came out of there £300.
Nice.
That's all right. That's a good weekend.
Imagine what it would have been if he did it like midway through the season.
Exactly, yeah.
It'd be like 100-1 probably to get us into the playoffs at that point.
Yeah.
Dang.
You'd be playing the flights next season, that's for sure.
That's it, yeah.
So have you got an all-time favourite player then that you look at and think, yeah, that's my guy. I'll always like him. Is it RG3?
No, well, for me, obviously coming from Wales, big into my rugby, it was the running backs. You know, they reminded me so much of the number 8s in rugby, breaking the line. So my first jersey in the mid to late 90s was Terry Allen. Very solid running back, Terry Allen. Obviously started off in the Vikings, then came to us and had, I think his first season was, if I remember right, over 1,000 yards. Anyway, so Terry Allen, and then that 2012 season with the theme of a running back was Alfred Morris. What a nice guy as well, you know. He seemed like such a down-to-earth young man. So it was Alfred Morris there. And you might laugh at me, but even a couple of years ago when we had Samanje Pirine, who's obviously in the Bengals, you know, he's got a job at the Bengals, but
he's doing well at the Bengals. He's doing well.
He's
you
nice.
know, and you can imagine me.
Nice
I
RB2.
get caught up in it, and I bought his jersey. You know, those north to south downhill running backs just excite me. You know, so I think, you know, any of the running backs.
How about like I know he didn't play for us, but like how about LT? You know, LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, class.
Guys like him, do you know much about him at all? Like,
no.
Oh, okay.
To be
because he's a true, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of running back, you probably love watching him.
And I'm not great on other teams, you know. He was always, you know, watching the Redskins, but yeah. So I'd probably say that the players have caught my eye, but it's the running back position that, you know, I absolutely love.
Cool,
sweet.
And obviously we've got Brian Robinson now, you know, who's we had a great season. You know, such a sad thing to happen pre-season, and you know he did ever so well. So yeah, hopefully he'll have another good season.
That hard, even Iron can't beat him up.
That's it, exactly right, Scouts.
How hard he is. Yeah.
What about you? Have you got a player at the moment that you're massively into on the current squad? I know you've got your Dotson jersey there.
You mentioned Robinson as well.
Yeah, definitely Robinson. But yeah, I got the Dotson jersey. I thought when I came to DC, I was annoyed that we couldn't get to the club shop before the game. I really wanted to buy my merch then, so I ended up going to a sports shop and picked up the Dotson jersey. You know, number 1, first overall pick with the Commanders. I thought it was quite a nice little touch. And he's such a likable, dependable player. You know, Mr. Safe Hands, I call him. You know, I think, you know, he's 1 or 2 sort of drop passes, but very rarely he sort of lets you down. So yeah, I do like Dotson in this current.
I mean, think how good he's going to be in the next couple of years, man. He is going to be supreme.
He is going to be brilliant.
He's going to be up there with Terriers in like a true top 10 wide receiver in the NFL next couple of years, 100%.
Couldn't agree more with you there. Well, yeah, thanks, Alid, for that. Thanks for giving us your story. We really appreciate you coming on and telling us how it is, you know, for a Welshman and how he gets into the NFL. Is there any other sports that you're into? You mentioned rugby there. I know, obviously, massive in Wales. I'm a massive rugby union fan myself. So is that your other game, is it then?
International rugby, love Wales. Obviously, love the international rugby. And obviously, the Six Nations are on now, so very exciting. Yeah. Not really a big fan of club rugby. It was just international for me, but I do like Swansea City in the football. Obviously, I grew up near there, so that's my team. So yeah, and obviously the Wales football they've done ever so well the last couple of years. So I'm not going to lie, say I didn't really, you know, follow them until they really got good, really, and then I started watching them. But yeah, so and also I picked up ice hockey the last couple of years. So we got Cardiff Devils in Cardiff in the British League, you know, and yeah, really, it's a really good night out, you know, really good night out.
I've been to the Mumbles, I've been to the Vetch, I've been to the Liberty Stadium as well. I've been to both of your grounds, watching my shit team anyway. But there you go.
and I've been there to a Capitals game as well. Ice hockey, I like ice hockey.
Have you?
So yeah, that was cool.
It's good, isn't it? It's good.
Watch a Vetchkin score. One of the best ever.
Definitely. definitely.
That's awesome.
Awesome plan.
Well, thanks, Alan, again, and we'll move on then and stick with us. Please stay on the.
No, thank
the
you
rest of
both
this
again
show.
for asking me. Yeah, thanks.
Not at all, honestly. And we'll move on to my favourite segment of the week. Obviously, everyone knows which this segment is.
Me.
It's hotter than the hottest day in July in Lanzarote when you're sitting on your sunbed, lounging around, sweat's pouring off you. It is indeed Scouse's Sizzle. Scouse's Sizzle.
Well, what do you think? What do you think it's going to be this week? You can guess it.
I'm going to go either scripts or I'm going to go media bashing, local media. I don't know. Go on, enlighten us, Scouse. Enlighten us.
Well, for me, it's actually the fans and this offensive coordinator thing that's going on at the moment. You know, these just chill, just relax. We'll find out next week. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's been going on. Oh, we need our guy now. Look at what this team's doing. Look what that team's doing. They're hiring these guys. I'm like, well, just relax, boys. Just relax. We're definitely gonna have one by this time next week. I'll put my life on it. We'll have another OC by this time next week. So just stop worrying. But it does piss me off though when you start reading this stuff. It's half it's recycled shite, but it's just annoying when you read it. You go, do you really think the enemy's going to come here? No, he's not going to come here. Stop saying, whoa. If he does, no, he's not coming here. Just leave it at that. He's not coming. Trust me, he's not coming. Arizona head coaching job's still open, I reckon, and they're waiting to after the Super Bowl for they hire someone. It's going to be him. So forget about him coming to us. Trust me, he ain't coming. Stop talking about it. Just chill. And let's see what we get next week, and then we can talk in more detail. But these fans, man, it's doing my Sweden.
Who have you got them for the OC then, Scouse?
Me.
Yeah.
An unpopular opinion, probably. And it'll be, I just think Ron's going to pick one of his mates again. So I think he's going to pick Pat Shermer. That's what I think. What do you think?
Any news?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm not hot on who's out there, etc. Okay. But I just wanted to rewind and say I was annoyed with all the young coaches that left, one by one. I felt like, and Scouts probably know about this, the Liverpool boot room, where they had all the young coaches and there was progression. Yeah. And I felt we had maybe something like that bubbling under the surface. So, I just more mourning the loss of that talent.
Players, yeah. And I think that's ultra painful. I mean, you look at the guys who've come through Washington before they became head coach. Some top level guys, but none of these guys wanted to stay. That's the only problem. The only one that we kind of shafted really was who really shafted really was McVay, because they kept Jay Gruden instead. When it was McVay getting offered a head coaching job, Gruden was still our manager or our head coach. So, and obviously he's a yes man, and he basically licked Buck and Dan's balls. That's basically what he did. So that's the reason why he kept this job for so long. Because let's face it, he wasn't good enough. So you lost McVay. You lose Kyle as well, but that's because Dan fucked over his dad. That's the reason why we didn't get Kyle didn't want to stick around. And the last guy we shafted was Ron shafted McDaniel. So Kevin
O'Connell as well.
Oh, O'Connell. Sorry, not Connell.
So we have McDaniel, O'Connell, LaFleur.
We had McDaniel as well, didn't we?
We've had quite a few there.
Yeah. So, but we shafted him because he left him and hired Scott Turner, who had zero experience as a play caller, and you can tell he's got no experience as a play caller, and he's 3 years on, and I think he's got worse than actually when he first got here. So, yeah, I mean,
best of luck in New Orleans, anyway.
Who's that?
That's Scott Turner. Or did he go to the Raiders?
No, he's gone Vegas.
Was it Vegas?
Yeah.
I thought it was New Orleans. I thought he went to. Yeah, okay.
Either way, he's still a joke, and he won't last long there either. So he got found.
So we're on Thursday. We're quite close. It's a few days away from the greatest show on turf. It's Super Bowl 57. I'm going to have to preview it and have a look at it. It is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Any thoughts on this game then, gents? I'll start with you, Scouse. Any thoughts on the game? What? Or are you not interested in it at all?
I mean, I'm always interested in the Super Bowl, whoever's in it, but because obviously I'm just jealous that we're not in it. But when you look at this, I just think that this was fixed. I genuinely believe that this was actually fixed. These two teams getting to the Super Bowl. How you can't just go off? Oh yeah, well referees give dodgy decisions. No, the crunch times. You know what I mean? Like the semi-final with the Bengals and what was that holding about for Mahomes was able to run down the line, no problem. It's so blatantly obvious. It wasn't like, oh, all every offensive lineman holds. Yeah, they do, but that was ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? No call. And this is what pisses me off. I think they wanted the narrative. They wanted Mahomes in there. I think they wanted two kind of black QBs at the starting of the Super Bowl. I think that was one of the big things. And I mean, don't get me wrong, Philadelphia, by far, we said it ages ago, by far the best overall team of players in every position. They've got depth everywhere. They're such a well constructed squad. So they always had a chance. But when you're looking at it, you're just thinking it was fixing to get. It was definitely fixed for the Chiefs to get there for sure. But I actually want the Chiefs to win. And even though we've got problems with the Chiefs being the tomahawk chop and all those things, and yet we lose our name, but they can keep all our Indian heritage. Again, that always like kind of stabs in the back every time I watch the Chiefs play because they're a very good side, and you think, Pat Mahomes is a great quarterback, and then you look at this, and you look at this, the stand and all doing the tomahawk chop, or all in war paint, and it's just like, wait a minute, we got dicked. I know technically you could say, well, our name had the word skin in the name, and that's the reason why they made us move it. But why? What about the emblem? What about the emblem? How come we changed that? See what I mean? So we got forced, and it's out of order. So I don't like the Chiefs because of that, really. Even though I can understand their actual how good they are as a team, yeah. But I don't like what any of these teams. But I'm never gonna be supporting in division teams. No chance. So for me, it's the Chiefs all day. Fuck the Eagles. Let's get. I want Mahomes to give him a smoking.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Mahomes has been injured, obviously, with that high ankle sprain. We talked about it last week. We talked about it the week before as well when it came out. He looks like he's back into his normal self. According to, this week, they're saying practice has gone really well. No issues at all. It looks like he is back to himself. I don't think he'll be still as mobile as he has been. But also, you've got to remember, Jalen Hurts is dinged up as well with a shoulder injury. So he's not fully healthy completely either after coming back from that. I just think the Philadelphia Eagles have had a really easy ride to get to the Super Bowl. And I know that sounds quite daft, but you're going against the Giants. And then after that, the 49ers put up no offense at all because they had no quarterback. They had nothing. As soon as Purdy got injured, you knew the outcome of that result pretty much immediately. There was no way Josh Johnson was going to come in and lead them to the promised land. I mean, it got to the stage where
6 snaps, didn't he?
Well, it got to the stage where he was like, he
knocked out the game himself.
Yeah, he nearly got concussion. You thinking to yourself,
he did, yeah.
Well, is Christian McCaffrey going to start throwing passes in a minute? I just easy ride through to the Super Bowl, and for me, heart says obviously, Kansas City Chiefs all the way, but I actually think Philly are going to win it. I really do. Off. I don't know why. I just.
What do you think? What do you think, Howard?
I think it's going to be a close game. Mahomes, he's a magician, isn't he? He can probably play in one leg, but I think that Eagles. I think it's not going to be a low scoring game. I think it's going to be close. I'm going for 37-34 Eagles.
That's a big high scoring game. And weirdly, I know we're not big into the betting side of it, but it's a 1.5. I think the Eagles are 1.5 point favourites going into this. So it's really, really tight. It was even a pick'em game 2 days ago. I think the lines just shifted slightly towards the Eagles, but 75% of the money is on the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So be quite interesting. If you
don't have to show up on here, it's my mobile phone, basically.
No,
I've got exactly the same as what you said.
Have you?
37-34 to Eagles.
Wow.
But I want the Chiefs to win. If that makes sense. I'd rather lose my bet.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel exactly the same as them. I think it'd be
So,
a high
Scouse,
scoring game.
you're picking the Chiefs. Alid, who you picking?
Eagles. Yeah.
I'm picking the Eagles as well, but I'd like the Chiefs to win, obviously. But there you go.
Can't top Pat Mahomes.
That about wraps us up then, gents, for the week. Thanks again, Ali, for being on. We really appreciate you being on and taking the opportunity when we reached out to you to say, come on the show. It was always in our plan because you support us quite heavily on Twitter. You're always in our mentions. It was great to meet you, in September at the Jags game. We will be doing a draft party. I don't think it's going to be an invitation thing. From what I'm led to believe, the same studio bar that they had with Sky Sports for the playoffs for the Jags game. That's in Manchester.
Have we definitely booked that?
Don't need to book it, mate. You just turn up. They've got space for.
They've got space, like 1 in the afternoon to get there. Yeah,
they've got space for 400 in there.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
No, yeah, thanks, lads, for inviting me on again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed, like I said, listening to you guys every week, and it's great to hear the British voice, isn't it? You relate a bit more. I love all the American podcasts. I listen to them as well, but it is nice to hear the British voice. NFL with a British accent, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we try our best. I mean, it's not been going long, but we've enjoyed it. The numbers are creeping up, which is great. We really, really do appreciate the follows and people who subscribe. So if you want to subscribe or follow us on Twitter, or you have any pointers or tips, or you want us to mention anything,
or even questions,
questions, send them in to Twitter. It all comes out after the pod stops rolling. There's a 30-second bit at the end, so if you stick around and listen to that'd be great. Ali, do you just want to plug your social media handle on Twitter, just in case people want to follow you as well?
Yeah, on Twitter I'm at UK_Commanders.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right, well, that just about wraps us up. Thanks, as always, Scouse, for being on here with me for this hour. I love chopping up with you every Thursday. It gets me away from family, and it takes me out of me work routine. So I really appreciate you being on here with me, buddy. So until next week, thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.